Welcome to the program, Global Weekly News, serial number 99. Only one more to go to reach 100. This is the cap I purchased in Vietnam for $1. Okay, first May 9, Victory Day. On 9th May, Victory Day, we honor the anti-fascist forces that defeated Nazism and fascism in Europe. The struggle in defense of humanity and against projects of death and exclusion continues. Victory Day celebrates the Soviet Union's victory over Nazi Germany in 1945. Soviet forces were responsible for 70% of German deaths in years of battle. Millions of people sacrificed their lives to liberate Europe from fascism. The Soviet Union lost 13% of its total population as a consequence of World War II. 79 years down the line, these struggles and sacrifices are under threat. Across the world, fascism continues to gain prominence. Today, Zionism and imperialism are the biggest threats to humanity. The US and Israel's war in Gaza is one between the people and imperialism. The people will liberate themselves. Palestine will be free. Second, let us look at Iran's warning. Israel has repeatedly targeted Iran's nuclear facilities, accusing it of making bomb. Kamal Karazi, an advisor to Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khomeini, told Al Jazeera that Iran would be forced to change its nuclear doctrine if its existence is threatened. Karazi, who is also a former foreign minister of the country, warned that if Israel tries to attack Iran's nuclear facilities, Iran will have to develop nuclear arsenal. Iran has been subjected to various unilateral sanctions by the US and other countries which have accused it of having a clandestine nuclear program. Despite Iran being a signatory of the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, NPT, Iran has also been subjected to one of the most stringent surveillance regimes of the International Atomic Energy Agency. Iran was also subjected to the United Nations sanctions for almost a decade over its nuclear program. The international sanctions were lifted in 2016 following the signing of the JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, between Iran and the US and 5 other countries, the UK, France, Germany, China and Russia. The JCPOA allowed Iran to have its peaceful nuclear program with certain restrictions and under International Atomic Energy Agency surveillance. However, following the unilateral withdrawal of the US under President Donald Trump in 2018, the US has reimposed various unilateral sanctions on Iran. Iran has since then gone back on some of its obligations under the JCPOA. It has already been enriching uranium at 60% purity since the failure of the US to lift sanctions and break down in talks to revive the JCPOA in 2022. Despite the setbacks in the JCPOA and unilateral sanctions, Iran has maintained that it has no plan to develop a nuclear bomb. Ayatollah Khomeini had even issued a fatwa in early 2000s claiming nuclear bombs are forbidden in Islam. However, Israel and the US have continued to loudly condemn an alleged clandestine nuclear bomb program in Iran. Clandestine means in a stealthy manner, in a deceitful manner. Kamal Karazi acknowledged that Iran has the capacity to develop nuclear bomb anytime. Israel has been accused of assassinating some of Iran's prominent nuclear scientists as well. The tensions between Iran and Israel have risen in recent months since the Israeli war in Gaza. Israel accuses Iran of helping Hamas and other resistance groups in the region who have stood in solidarity with the Palestinian people, Israel bombed the Iranian consulate building in Damascus in Syria on 1st April, killing 7 Iranian commanders. Iran retaliated in response on 13th April, targeting several of military bases of Israel. Israel launched a low-intensity attack against Iran in the following week. Israel is not a signatory to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and its nuclear weapons have not been subjected to any international security scrutiny. Israel was responsible for attacking Iraq's nuclear facilities in 1981. Comrades, the catastrophe, the Nakba, never-ending Nakba. On 16th May, Palestinians and people across the globe mark the anniversary of the Nakba. Nakba in Palestine, that means a catastrophe, a great disaster, the systemic ethnic cleansing and forced displacement of Palestinian people in 1948 to establish an apartheid state in Palestine, that is Israel of Jewish origin, ethnicity. From 1947 to 1949, the Zionist forces stole over 78% of land of historic Palestine, ethnically cleansed and destroyed about 530 villages and cities, killed about 15,000 Palestinians, committed over 70 massacres. The creation of the State of Israel displaced between 7.5 to 10 lakh Palestinians from their land and homes in historical Palestine. The 1.5 lakh Palestinians who were displaced internally and remained within Israel's borders in 1948 were granted Israeli citizenship but was treated as second-class citizens subjected to apartheid laws and with the rights and freedoms curtailed. The Nakba continues to this day. Since October 7, 2023, Israeli attacks on Gaza have killed at least 35,173 people and injured 79,061 others. According to the United Nations, women and children make up around 56% of the deaths. Since 2006, the Gaza Strip has been under a total Israeli land, air and sea blockade in what has been called the largest open-air prison on earth. Since 2023, October 7, over 15 lakh Palestinians have sought refuge in Rafah, Gaza's southernmost city near Egypt border. With more than 80% of the population displaced across the Gaza Strip, over 4.5 lakh Palestinians have been forcefully displaced from Rafah also since May 6, and an additional 1 lakh have evacuated the north as Israeli forces pushed into Rafah and reoccupied parts of northern Gaza. Despite this brutal violence, the Palestinian people continue to resist and demand the right to return to their land. Comrades, now let us go to Africa to see the conditions in Congo. Last week, at least 8 civilians died in an attack against a health center in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, which has been attributed to the Allied Democratic Forces of Congo, Islamic rebel forces and Rwandan forces. On 3rd May, in the attacks against the civilians in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 35 people were killed in a bombing of 2 refugee camps in the North Kivu province. Both the US and the Congolese military have accused Rwanda's military and the M23 March 23 movement, M23 rebel group, as being responsible for the attacks. The province of North Kivu in Congo has borne the brunt of violence and displacement since the resurgence of the M23, a rebel group backed by neighboring Rwanda. The rebels had briefly captured its capital, Goma, in 2012 before being driven out. These latest bombing attacks took place near Goma. The US State Department issued a condemnation statement. We are gravely concerned about the recent Rwanda Defense Forces and M23 expansion in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, which has contributed to the displacement of more than 25 lakh people. Congo's human rights activist Kambale Musavuli said, mere condemnations are not enough. The US and UK shall cut ties with Rwanda to stop arming, training and equipping a country that is destabilizing the Democratic Republic of Congo. So, what US and UK shall do? Cut its relations with Rwanda. Stop aiding Rwanda. Congo has abundance of coltan mineral used for cell phone manufacturing and computer chips. Ample evidence indicates that Rwanda and Uganda were financing their military expenditures with the profits from natural resources exploitation in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Attacks on civilians are due to seize coltan, said Musavuli, the human rights activist of Congo. Next, we are going to one European country, small country, Croatia, where kindergarten workers are on strike. Workers in the public kindergarten in Beograd, Croatia, are facing unprecedented pressures as they begin strike. The president of the Trade Union of Education, Media and Culture attempted to join the members inside the kindergarten, but she was stopped by security guard. On 12th May, 24 of 36 kindergarten staff members began the strike, demanding equal wages on par with elementary school teachers as required by law. At the very beginning of the strike, workers reported being confined to a small chairless room. 2 employees' health was affected. The kindergarten workers enjoy support among the families and parents of the children. As the strike began, a patients' initiative picketed in front of the kindergarten building. Beograd town mayor pointed out his claims of insufficient funds to meet the workers' legally mandated demands. He, however, tried to hire strike breakers. He even threatened about privatization of the kindergarten if the strike continued. Parents and trade union are prepared to struggle against the privatization. Next, we are again going back to Africa. The Sahel region, which is trying to establish its sovereignty. The Sahel seeks sovereignty. The Sahel is a region in Africa, the vast semi-dry region between the Atlantic coast to Red Sea coast. Mauritania, Mali, Niger, Nigeria, Chad, Sudan, Eritrea and Senegal are the Sahel countries. The last year has seen tremendous transformations in the Sahel region with popularly backed military coups calling for an end to French colonialism as well as progressive electoral victories. Between 2021 and 23, Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger evacuated the French military forces. On 16th September 2023, the governments of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger signed the Mutual Defense Agreement that established the Alliance of Sahel States. The alliance is a response to the threats of military intervention and economic sanctions that have been levied against Niger by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, following the July 2023 popular coup that took place in the country. A few months after reaching this defense cooperation agreement, the 3 countries withdrew from ECOWAS regional bloc. One of the world's largest high-grade uranium deposits are in Niger. In 2014, the then Niger president lowered taxes on mining activities that directly benefited French monopolies, receiving indirect payouts in return. That is, receiving bribes. Meanwhile, the French military in Niger operated as the gendarmerie, that is French police, for mining companies and against those seeking to migrate to Europe. France Atomic Energy Commission and two French companies own 85% of the shares of the company. Niger's government owns only a mere 15%. Close to half of Niger's population lives below the poverty line, and 90% of people of Niger live without electricity. As of 2013, uranium from Niger powers 1 in 3 electric bulbs in France. Shortly after 2023 coup, Niger citizens seized the French embassy and military base in the capital of Niamey. France withdrew its troops soon after. On 16th March 2024, the Niger government revoked a decade-old military agreement with the United States. The United States has established the single largest foreign military presence on the African continent, beginning with the 2002 Pan-Sahel Initiative and followed by the creation of the US Africa Command, AFRICOM, in 2007, which set up a significant network of US military bases across the Sahel, of which there are 9 in Niger, 2 in Mali and 1 in Burkina Faso. So total 12 military bases in the Sahel region by US. AFRICOM is an attempt to erect a bulwark in Africa against transnational terrorism and China's appetite for Africa's oil, minerals and timber. After NATO's war on Libya, led by France and the US, the Sahel region has been embroiled in conflicts, piracy and smuggling. France and the US have used these conflicts as a cause, as a pretext to increase their military interventions across the region. In 2014, France opened new military bases in Mali, Chad, Niger, Burkina Faso. In 2019, the US began conducting drone strikes and aerial surveillance across the Sahel region. Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger ranked among the top 10 countries most affected by terrorism. The people of Sahel have grown disillusioned not only with the West military strategies, but also with the Western economic policies that have yielded little social development. Burkina Faso has already signed agreements with Rosatom, a state-owned Russian company, to build new power plants, while Mali is advancing its application of atomic energy through the National Nuclear Program. Ultimately, the alliance of Sahel states represents an attempt to uphold the demands of sovereignty and the right to self-determination. Comrades, in spite of so many promises of stopping arms supply to Israel, what in reality is Joe Biden continues to equip Israel with newer arms. US sending arms to Israel. On 14th May, Joe Biden, the US President, began to move forward with $100 crore arms deal for Israel. US threatened to withhold weapons shipments due to ongoing Israeli aggression in Rafah. Israeli occupation forces entered residential areas of Rafah also on May 14. The arms sales includes tank ammunition, tactical vehicles and mortar rounds. Just last week, the US Department of Defense acknowledged in an official report that US supplied weapons helped Israel to commit crimes under international law. US Senator Chuck Schumer, Israeli supporter, openly called for regime change in Israel. A few days ago, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that US believes that Israel should get out of Gaza. Biden himself has raised repeated concerns regarding Netanyahu's leadership. People's Forum, an organization in America that is part of the wider Shut It Down for Palestine coalition, that has led mass mobilizations in solidarity with Palestine throughout the United States. The People's Forum stated, Biden has no real difference with Netanyahu and certainly no discomfort with more massacre of Palestinians. In fact, his only problem with Netanyahu is that he is losing the battle and unable to crush the Palestinian resistance. Well, this is what People's Forum said. Lastly, we are going to see the release of Prabir Purkayastha. Prabir Purkayastha, 77 years old, founder of NewsClick in India, exposed anti-people policies of the Modi government through his media. He was arrested on 2023 October 3 under Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, UPA. Delhi police submitted 8,000-page charge sheet last month. NewsClick has said that this is bogus and concocted. Supreme Court of India declared the arrest of Prabir Purkayastha as illegal and released him on bail on 15th May. Thank you, comrades. Next week we are going to come with Global Weekly News 100th century. Last salam.